What is up YouTube, Bloody Knight here, and welcome back to the channel, and also welcome to the third E3 2018 conference recap video. This one will be specifically dealing with the Bethesda Conference, and there's a fair amount that actually went on, so let's just get right into it. Things got underway with a touching video showing off the different people that work at Bethesda and how they all come from different walks of life, but how each one is important to create the games that they create. This was then followed up by a montage of old games that they've already worked on and released, and new games that will still be coming up. First up on stage was Global Senior Vice President of Bethesda, Pete Hines, and he welcomed everyone to the conference firstly, and then spoke a bit more about how the current theme for the studio is Create. Hines then moved on to a game that he said was revealed a few weeks earlier, but he was actually referring to the leak that happened at Walmart Canada. Whoops. And then he also joked about the fact that how they have proven that they have this ability to keep a secret. The game in question was Rage 2, but before we actually got to see more of the game, everyone was treated to a live performance of the song Ready to Die by Andrew WK, which is actually the same song that is featured in the announcement trailer for Rage 2. Following the awesome live performance, we saw Tim Willits, who is the studio director at id Software, and Magnus Nedforsch, who is the game director at Avalanche Studios, make their way onto stage to talk more about Rage 2. The pair were quite excited to talk about their upcoming game and also reveal a few details about both the setting and the main protagonist. Players will assume the role of Walker, who is the last ranger of the wasteland in a dystopian future that is devoid of society, law and order. Following these tidbits, we got to see a trailer full of firefights between the various factions in the game. The trailer was followed by some pre-alpha gameplay footage, but before we actually got into the gameplay, we see a message that says if you can see it, you can drive it, which means that we will probably be able to dive pretty much any vehicle we can find in the wasteland. It isn't long before we see some explosive vehicular combat before Walker gets out of the vehicle and continues on foot. Thanks to the radio chat that happens in the game, we hear that Walker is going up against a goon squad, which is most likely one of the many factions to feature in the game. It seems that many of their members are actually designed with colored mohawks. Walker then gets into it with the goon squad and pretty much starts killing everything in sight, and from what I can tell, the gameplay looks a lot faster than the first game. Walker makes use of an assault rifle, a shotgun, what seems to be an anti-gravity grenade, and then the wing stick, which is the glaive weapon from the first game that has been heavily upgraded and looks amazing. At one point we even see an enemy caught up in the blast radius of a grenade and then hit immediately with a wing stick, which just cuts him up immediately. The gameplay flashes forward a few times and also shows different locations and combat happening in these locations, and then we see Walker pick up a glowing item which seems to be a power called Shatter. After picking up the Shatter power, the gameplay flashes forward yet again to a combat scenario, most likely to show off the Shatter power, and Shatter seems to be a force push of some sort. Anyway, a big enemy then shows up, and before the fight can actually really start, it cuts to a trailer. Rage 2 will be out in spring 2019, which means for us here in South Africa it'll be autumn 2019. Next up, we got some news about the mobile card game The Elder Scrolls Legends, and that news is that it'll be relaunching with some updated visuals. Not only that, but it'll also be coming to PS4, Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. Following this, we saw Matt Fyro, who is the game director for The Elder Scrolls Online, make his way to the stage. Fyro detailed some of the game's achievements, namely that there are over 11 million players in The Elder Scrolls Online, in addition to them winning the MMO of the Year award for 2017, which is actually the third time they've won this award. He also mentioned the 2 expansions they've been able to release, which have been Morrowind and most recently Somerset. He then also spoke about some of the upcoming DLC for the game. The first one is a dungeon DLC entitled Wolf Hunter and will focus on werewolves. The second is called Murkmire and will see players return to Black March, where they'll be able to learn more about Argonian lore and culture. Then we got a trailer which shows a wasteland which is just infested with demons, and it isn't long before we see the iconic shotgun and the title of Doom Eternal is revealed. Doom Eternal will be the sequel to 2016's Doom, will have twice as many demons and will practically be hell on earth. That's all details we got for now, however, but there are more details coming when the game debuts at QuakeCon in August later this year. Albertyn Studios was up next to talk a little bit about Prey. The game has been out for a year now, and there will be a free update coming to the game. Those who have a copy of the game can then update, and the next time they load up the game they'll see 3 options, which will be Story Mode, New Game Plus, which was highly requested, and Survival Mode. In addition to this free update, there will also be a paid DLC called Moon Crash. Moon Crash will see players trying to escape a secret TranStar moon base, but the loot, enemies and hazards will be different every time you play. Prey Moon Crash is available right now. They also announced a multiplayer mode called Typhon Hunter, in which one player will go up against 5 other players who play as mimics, which means they'll be able to disguise themselves as everyday objects just like they do in the main game. Honestly, I'm quite interested to see just how that'll play out, because it sounds like it's going to make for some interesting and enjoyable gameplay. Typhon Hunter will be available in the next few months. And then we got another new game announcement by the name of Wolfenstein Youngblood. The game will focus on the twin daughters of series main protagonist BJ Blazkowicz, and it'll take place in 1980s Paris. And since the game focuses on his twin daughters, Wolfenstein Youngblood will actually be a co-op experience. Sure, you can play solo if you want to, but you can also join up with a friend and save the world from the Nazis. Wolfenstein Youngblood will be out sometime in 2019. Todd Howard, who is the game director over at Bethesda Game Studios, then made his way onto stage to talk more about Fallout 76. But first we got a skit involving comedian Keegan-Michael Key and just the running joke of how many platforms Bethesda can get Skyrim onto. I highly recommend checking it out, and I'll link it in the description down below. Then onto the business of Fallout 76, which will actually be a prequel to all of the Fallout games. It'll be 4 times the size of Fallout 4, will be set in the hills of West Virginia, and will follow one of the first people to emerge from Vault 76 into the untamed wasteland. Thanks to new technology, Fallout 76 will feature 16 times the detail of Fallout 4. It'll feature 6 regions across West Virginia, and will actually feature creatures based on West Virginian folklore. The newest feature coming to the series is that Fallout 76 will be entirely online. You will be able to play solo, but you'll also be able to team up with other players. And death doesn't necessarily mean you lose any of your progression. You'll be in a world with dozens and not hundreds, which means it won't be overflowing with players. You'll be able to join your friends and your progress will go with you. You'll be able to build a settlement and move it wherever you want to. Additionally, there will be multiple nuclear missile sites scattered across the map, but in order to actually use these against other players, you'll need to find all parts of the code. So there won't be nukes being fired off every few minutes. There will be a beta test for Fallout 76, but no date has been confirmed just yet. There's also going to be a super special edition of Fallout 76 in the form of the Power Armor Edition. So it'll feature a glow-in-the-dark map, and figures that can be placed on the map, and then also, which is the big part of it, is a fully functioning power armor helmet that is also wearable, which is insane, and it just looks amazing as well. Fallout 76 will be out on the 14th of November 2018. This E3 has also marked the 3rd anniversary of the release of Fallout Shelter, and will now be available on PS4 and Nintendo Switch, and is absolutely free. Howard then also revealed a full-on Elder Scrolls experience for mobile platforms. The game is called The Elder Scrolls Blades and will feature handcrafted and procedurally generated dungeons. Additionally, the game can be played in either portrait or landscape orientation. While The Elder Scrolls Blades will be launching on mobile platforms first, Howard has expressed that he would like the game to come to all platforms and ultimately reach his dream of having cross-platform compatibility. Aside from the game's story mode, it will also feature a town building mode and also multiplayer. No data has been specified for when the Elder Scrolls Blades will be released, but it is currently available for pre-order on iOS and Android. Following this, we got a teaser trailer for a game called Starfield, which is actually the first wholly new franchise from Bethesda in 25 years. Then to close out the show, we got one of the tiniest teasers ever seen, but one of the biggest announcements of the show, and that was for the Elder Scrolls 6. There's not much to be seen in the teaser trailer itself, which means the game is most likely very early in development. And that is the end of the Bethesda E3 2018 conference. I did quite like this conference, aside from the few cringe moments that were dabbled in between. But we got to see some new announcements, we got to see some new gameplay of pre-announced games, And also, Bethesda seems to be putting a lot of emphasis on multiplayer and co-op and including everyone, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. But that's my opinion of the conference, and I'd love to hear yours. If you like this video and you would like to see more, if you found it informative, please hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And what did you think of this Bethesda conference? Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.